you should have your notebooks open to page 4D. We're going to use that one today for this. Oh, we don't have any notes in there yet. Remember that 4D, that particular standard is overlapping A, B, and C. So we're just going to kind of steal that for today. So this is a really good example practice for like what the test is like, what a big chunk of the test is like tomorrow. With one exception, I don't have any of that missing part up on here, that one weird one that I keep saying I'm going to do last. I don't have any of those up there. So these problems that are up here are either active metals or transition metals. And then the second thing is either a binary ion or it could be a polyatomic ion. So what I would like you to do is I'm going to time this, and we're going to do about 10 minutes or so. You can work with a partner if you wish. What I'm going to ask you to do is to see how many of these that you can do in your notebook. So again, this is a lot like the test. I'm going to give you 10 names, give me the formulas. 10 formulas, give me names. So let's just do these first. Don't do this part yet. Wait, other way around. Let's do these first. That's what I want you to do first. They're not matching. They're not matching. Yeah, do these first. In your notebook, it's probably better if you have them both. Does that make sense? So that you can kind of see where you're coming from. You just have a random list of things that's on there. So I want to give you about 10 minutes. Work with a partner if you need to. And I want you to kind of cook through these as fast as you can. You personally, if you can be successful, jump around, get as close as you can. Yes, goes in the notes section. So let's think about this. What do we need to be careful about? Guys. What do we need to be careful about first when we're taking a look at what's going on over here? What do we need to be aware of? Yeah, like where it is. If it's an active metal, what do you need to do? No, I'm just asking about this first thing. If it's an active metal, what do you need to do? Write its name. Done. If it's a transition metal, what do you need to do? You need to write its name and then leave some room for charge, right? Roman numerals need to go in there. So kind of that first question you got to ask yourself is, what is that thing? And then there's the funky one down here. So that's the first question. Yeah, what is NH4? It's funky. It's the only one that's not a single thing at the beginning. This is a funky one. It's different than the others. So once you've named the positive ion, then you name the second ion, and again, you make sure you figure out what that thing is called, name what it's called. If it's got a polyatomic, you name them. If it's a single one, remember to change its ending to IDE. I know, this is hard. That's why we're putting you on the spot. Be uncomfortable now and maximize your gain from this. So take a few minutes, see how many you can do, and then employ your partner. Work together. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if you need, yes, 100%. Yep, I will. Yep, I will give you. Yep, fair enough. Here, there you go. It won't say transition metals and active metals on it, right? Here's a periodic table for you. Yes, you will definitely get a periodic table. Remember, you won't be able to use the colored one, so you might want to practice using that one. There you go. Yep. Here you go. Spare periodic table. It's kind of like the one I'll give you on the test tomorrow. Yep.
So for this one, like that's starting nine. But so these are never gonna have Roman numerals, right?
Correct. Only the first thing would have a Roman numeral to it, the metal. Good question. Yep. Okay. periodic tables like I'll give you on the test tomorrow. This is like the one I'll give you on the test tomorrow, just so you know. So you'll have a fresh one. So it's fine if you already have one. Keep in mind that the periodic table I give you tomorrow, you have to use the fresh one that I give you. You cannot use a pre-marked up one, but you're welcome to write on it if you want to. Oh, N and H is not a single element. Capital N, capital H with a 4 next to it. That's not a single element.
Nitrogen and hydrogen.
Yeah, it's nitrogen and hydrogen together, but it's a group. It's a team. It's in your little cards. It's one of these little guys.
It's ammonia? Is it not? Oh.
Yeah, it's one of those. Uh-huh. Here's some for you guys. Come on. You getting the start? I know what the name of that is. You don't have to do anything to the formula other than tell me what it's called. Does that work? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lead would be an active.
No, lead is going to be counted as a transition metal or post-transition metal. It needs to have Roman numerals with it. The only ones that don't need Roman numerals, the first two columns, the active metals, and then the aluminum, zinc, silver kind of trilogy that I mentioned yesterday. Those three, we know what their charges are, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, and then like carbon and nitrogen, those are
non-metals.
given.
Those are non-metals, so
Yeah,
they'll be negative for the most part. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so you'll know the charge of those from the periodic table. Yep. Good question. Good question. There you go, Christian. There you go, one for you. That's a while. How you doing? You're gonna do really well on this. You're doing good. You're doing good. This is gonna feel awkward. You gotta face it. Which one? It's that little bunch right there, right? That little 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right there. Hold on. Yep.
How do I do it?
Do you know the charge of this?
Like minus.
It's one of these guys, right? What color is it?
I think it's green.
You think it's green? So what charge is it? So it's -1. It's a -1. It's right there, actually. Is that it? Close. It's chlorate. There it is. So it's red. So what's the charge of it? It's -1. You actually said the right charge. You just said the wrong color. So this is -1. And there's 2 of them. What does the charge of this lead have to be? Yep, you got it. Better be a good question.
For zinc.
Good question. Does zinc have a variable charge, or it could be more than one thing? This is that little set. Remember, there's this little 3, 2, 1 group right here. On this test, I'm not going to mark it wrong, but no, you do not need to, because zinc always has the same charge. Does that work? Yep. Is this your ruler or is this my ruler? I think this is my physics class they left on the floor, so I was going to do some beatings with it. Where at? Carson, right? Okay.
So right here, the
Yeah.
PVCl.
So leave that blank for now. What's the name of this thing?
That's is it chlorate?
Yeah, because it's on the outside, right? So it's chlorate. You can just write the word chlorate down, and you can fill in the Roman numerals. Yeah, sure. Because you can go. No. Leave it like that. Leave the parentheses there. Write the word chlorate out. Now you can figure out what the Roman numeral is. Okay. So what's the charge of chlorate?
0.
It's these guys. It's got a charge.
Oh. -1.
-1. So there's 2 of them.
So you need a +2.
There you go. So it's lead 2.
Got it.
That's how you do it. You got it. You got it. Later, hater.
Do you like it?
Skater gator.
I'm confused.
I like it. I like it. It's good vibe. Good.
Here for either of them. Well, I know, that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Is this potassium cyanide?
Yeah.
CN goes together as
Because
cyanide?
CN's a team.
Okay, that's really
Yep, that's potassium
I wanted
cyanide.
to make sure because it sounded really
No, it does sound weird. You're right, Claire. You haven't been around them long enough to know what they sound like yet. No, you did great. Did you have a question?
Yeah.
I'll be right there.
Monoxide.
That's one of those ones I haven't done yet. Yeah, so leave it. Skip it. Okay. What? Now you 2 together is going to really throw me off.
We're always together, right, Sarah?
Yeah, and that's part of it, I think, is that because you guys were together and then you split apart, and I'm like, crap.
Okay, so I don't know if it's like, I feel like I'm having a brain fart. So
If you-
the first one we have aluminum hydroxide.
Yep.
Is that, aluminum's a,
Okay, aluminum is not a transition metal. It's one of these ones where we know what its charge is, 3, 2, 1. We know these guys. They don't need Roman numerals.
so, okay, that's what I was going to ask about zinc.
Yeah.
I know that it has a charge of 2.
Correct.
So I don't need to put,
You do not need to put the Roman numeral 2 in there. I won't mark it wrong. In a Chem 1 class, if you can even get close to getting charges right, we're real good. So, yep, you're doing great.
okay.
Yeah.
Teach Chem too?
And physics.
This is the only science class I've ever taken I've understood. Like,
Ooh, that's good, I think. Well, or frightening. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I was just like,
No, you're doing great.
and now I was so scared to take this class.
That's funny. I'm impressed. So, I mean, you're doing really well.
It's just like, your teaching methods are good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No
That means
shade
a lot.
to other teachers here, but
Like, I don't really.
Yeah, biology in some ways is easier, but yeah, that's cool. That's a really cool class. And then this is the physiology. So you got to have the chemistry to understand the physiology in the long run. They come back together. So have faith. Yeah, have faith. They come back together, and you'll see the connections as you kind of go. So that's good. Finally. Okay, anyway. Okay. We got about 3 or so more minutes on this one. It's inside and outside.
Because this is supposed to be before the.
So ammonium is correct. There's supposed to be an NH4. Yes. And that other 4 is there because of balancing charges. The other 4, the outside force from balancing charges. Because what's the charge of ammonium?
Negative.
It's +1. It's the weird one. It's the only one. So this is a +1. What's the charge of carbon when it's negative? What is it?
-2.
That's 3. So that's where that kind of came down from over there. It's from crossing down. It's a weird looking one.
Were we wrong? We said
Ammonium is correct. It's not carbonite because that would be like CO2. It's not carbonate. That's CO3. It's the end. Carbide. Yep. Carbide sounds really weird, doesn't it?
Oh wait, didn't we have a question on that?
Is there another one?
Tin one.
Oh, yeah. Wait.
The tin one.
Yeah.
So we just got tin.
Or CR207 should be. No, CR207.
Oh, bicarbonate.
Close. Dichromate.
Okay, it's not.
Tin's one of these ones down here. It's right here, S10. So it needs a Roman numeral. Work backwards. What's the charge on dichromate? Yeah, polyatomic.
Oh, +1.
Go look at your cards if you need to.
Oh.
Yeah, this is hard.
Isn't it 2?
It's 2 minus. Yeah. The other one's, how are we doing? Wesley, what planet are we on here? Planet Z9. That's the answer to that, by the way, just so you know. Okay, how are we doing?
Yes. How do you get the Roman numerals?
Good question. Which one are you trying to do? The lead? Chloride? Okay, so you know the formula, right?
Yeah.
What's the charge of chlorite?
-1.
Okay. It's -1, and there's 2 of them. Right? So what's the charge of your lead have to be to balance that out? It has to be lead 2. That's how you do it. Yeah, we talked about that a while ago, but it's been a little bit. Yeah, put it all together.
What would be CN? Like as a
2 elements together. It's got to be a team. It's one of these guys. It's one of those guys. Mm-hmm.
So for this aluminum, would it need Roman numerals?
Oh, good question. So aluminum is one of our little trio. It's always a 3. It does not need it. Yep. Aluminum's a 3, always a 3. Don't worry about it.
So I could just do
Aluminum. Yep.
And then my second question.
Okay. It's a weird one. That's a really weird looking one.
Because there's ammonium, would you just put carbon after? Or would it be carbon?
It's not carbon. So what did we do? What did we do with? Yeah, it's more like that. No, carbonide was much closer. It's carbide. Yeah, like oxide, phosphide, fluoride, carbide. It's only by itself. Yeah, it's a really weird one. Carbon has a -4 charge. Definitely an unusual kind of funky looking thing. Yep. But ammonium's a 1+. There's 4 of them. So that means this carbon is 4-. It's called carbide. That's the name of that thing. It's weird, right? Have you ever heard of carbide blade? Like when you're doing if you're ever doing anything in the shop, they're super hard saw blades. Carbide tip is a super hard drill blade. So we take a carbon, put it in that form, and coat it on metal. Ammonium carbide. Yep, 2 M's, but other than that, it's great. I would not mark that wrong. Yep. How are we doing? Are we almost there? All right. So we're going to take a moment and kind of run through these. This is not easy. How are we doing? Are you getting there? Mm-hmm. Roman numerals. Potassium cyanide, aluminum hydroxide, these 2. Yep. Because they're down here, right? These are ones that need Roman numerals just like the rest of these guys do. Okay?
So they're over here.
Yeah, any of these guys anything that's in here or under the stairs, they all need Roman numerals. These are the only 3 over here that don't. 3, 2, 1.
Here stays over.
Well, and these guys are all non-metal, so we don't care. But yeah, anything under the stairs, other than those 3. Yep. All right. I haven't harassed you guys. How are we doing? Yeah? Ooh, making some progress. Hey. Which part? No, don't panic. It's not worth panicking about. What's throwing you off? The Roman numerals? Hey, that's only one piece. So that's only one piece of these names. If you're recognizing like carbonate or sulfate or those kinds of things, that's a major part of that process. Putting the Roman numerals is one little piece of the whole puzzle. It's not the whole thing. Don't let that stop you or put a roadblock in your head. It's just one piece. I'm going to go through and practice them anyway. Okay? Don't panic. You're not alone. I've answered that same exact question 5 or 6 other people. It's normal. It's normal. Okay? Don't panic. What? How do you do the Roman numerals, right? That's always the question that comes up. How do we get the Roman numerals? See, Lahaina, Julianne just asked the same question. What? I'm going to put them on the board here. All right, so here we go. Okay, so those of you who get these right, you can sit there and look smug for a second. We need to kind of make sure that we're picking this up. This is one of those things that it looks super easy, and then you try to do it. You put yourself in that spot, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, God, I thought I knew this. I don't. Okay, that's a super normal response to this. So let's kind of take our time and progress through this. So I'm going to kind of try to model slowly, but I'm going to model the questions that you should ask yourself as you're doing this process. It does not do yourself much good to just write the numbers down or write the answers down, because that's not the whole piece that you need. You need to get yourself the process, the map to get to the answer. Does that make sense? Okay, second thing is, if you have that aha moment at any point in time, like, oh, that's where that comes from, it is really important to write something down that I'm not necessarily saying, but what was the aha? Because just because you had the aha moment right now and you're like, oh, it's crystal clear, I totally get this, does not mean that you're going to keep that aha moment for later. Again, this is learning strategies. I've been working with teenagers for like 25 years. You have to make yourself a know, like, oh yeah, you get the Roman numeral by, or don't forget these, or don't forget to change the, oh yeah, that's where that comes from. When you have those aha moments, write down what the aha was, not the answer. Because the aha is the rule that you're going to use. The answer is a one-time only point. Does that kind of make sense? So you want to be listening to yourself for the, oh yeah, that's what I had trouble with. That's what I remembered. Okay, so first question we ask yourself, we'll just start with the top one up here. That thing, what's the name of Al? Aluminum. Question number 1, does it need a Roman numeral? Okay, Al's one of those ones, even though it's on the right, it does not need a Roman numeral because we always know what Al's charge is. It's one of our friends. We love Al. Al's one of our buddies. So this is just aluminum. So literally just write its name. I don't need to leave parentheses for it. I can just kind of go from there. The second thing, oh! If there's 2 elements next, you know it's going to be one of those polyatomics. You got to start flipping through those cards in your head. What would the name of that team be? The name of this group is called hydroxide. So OH together is team hydroxide. They always work together as a set in this particular case. So this is called hydroxide. Do I need to do anything else to that name? Nope, you're done. Okay. All right, next thing. Moving on down. K. Okay, so we can just name that guy, potassium. Do we need to put a Roman numeral with potassium? Okay, if it's on the left, the answer is no. We do not need Roman numerals for that. Jaden, it'll help if you face this way. Then another thing that we got after that, after potassium, CN, that's got to be a team. Cyanide is the name of that one, Cyanide. And again, if you're sitting there going, I didn't remember that. Again, it's like how many things are there? If it's got partners with it, if it's more than one thing, it's got to be from your pile. Has to be. And that's just a memorization thing. Okay, number 3. PB. Lead. Don't get too overwhelmed by parentheses and other kind of weirdness that shows up in there. That first element is called lead. Does lead need a Roman numeral? Yes, it does. Okay, so how do we know if it needs a Roman numeral or not? Yeah. So the transition metals need Roman numerals with a couple exceptions. The Harry Potter metals, the ones that are under the stairs, also need Roman numerals. So if they're in the middle to the right, with 3 exceptions, they need Roman numerals. What? It's in the plus or minus 4 column, right? And it tells you that one of its favorite charges is to be 4 plus, but it's not its only charge. Yep. So if it's a Harry Potter metal, something under the stairs, under that staircase line, it still does need a Roman numeral. Again, there's only 3 exceptions to things in that middle right side that don't need Roman numerals. The 3 elements, the 3 metals, that are in that zone that don't need Roman numerals. Aluminum, zinc, and silver, that little diagonal group, okay? That little set, those are the only ones that don't need it. So this is lead. Just do your parentheses. Don't even worry about filling it in yet. What's the name of that thing? ClO3. Chlorate or chlorite? Yeah, it's an L. And you would never have C, I, and O. We don't have any polyatomics with 3 different elements like that. That's throwing you off. That's an L. Chlorine. Oh, that makes more sense now. It's called chlorate because it's chlorine. And then I'm going to go through the other ones faster. These first ones kind of show all the little skills. And then how do I figure out what this Roman numeral is? Okay, well, I have to kind of look at this thing. And this is the hard part because you have to memorize those charges. That's what kind of sucks. So I know this one is one of those ones I got to put a charge and I don't know what it is. Do I know the charge of the negative thing? Yeah, you should. You may or may not actually know it, but you got to try. Does that make sense? Try to remember what it is. Chlorate is a 1 minus. How do I know that? Because I have a polyatomic ion card that has a 1 minus written on it. I have 2 chlorates. Yeah, that's what that means. That means I have 2 of that whole team. If this is a 1 minus and there are 2 of them together, that means the charge on our lead here must be 2 plus. Yep, crossing up. But it doesn't work like something like here. Like we're not going to say that 10's a 7 plus. Does not work on everything. You got to kind of stop and think about it. Yep. So the name of this one, lead, Roman numeral 2 or II. Again, with Roman numerals, just so you know that we don't care, you can either write it that way or that way. They're both correct. Please do not write lead 2. It's got to be Roman. And then this would be chlorate. Okay, so we've kind of seen most of the big things that we need to get. Say that one more time. Yeah, that's fine. You can do that way if you want to. Yeah, you can do it that way, or you can do it with the brackets top and bottom. They're both correct. That's okay. All right. SN, what element is it? 10. So that's 10. Does 10 need a Roman numeral? Yes, it does. It's under the stairs. It is one of the Harry Potter medals. It needs a Roman numeral. It likes to be a 4, but it doesn't have to be. CR207. Dichromate. It's one word, dichromate. Charge of dichromate here, that team. As a group, that team has a charge of 2 minus. So the charge on our tin here has to be 2 plus. So that is also tin 2, not tin 4. Tin likes to be tin 4. This is the other version of it. Okay, Rhiannon, is it starting to make more sense how to get the charges? Lahaina? No? So let's stay for a second and think of it. The key point with figuring out charges is to remember that they have to add up to 0 when you're done. So if I know that this thing right here is a 2 minus, whatever this tin here has to be equal and opposite to it. Our total when we're done has to be 0. If this is negative 2, what would this be to make the total 0? Because if I do this, 2 minus and 2 minus does not add to 0. If I do this, 1 plus and 2 minus does not add up to 0. So you can do the guess and test version of it. 2 plus and 2 minus, does that add up to 0? Yep. So that's a way to think about it, a different way of approaching it. Okay, down here, this name of this one is rubidium oxide. Rubidium oxide. Rubidium does not need a Roman numeral because it's in the first column. Rubidium is an active metal. In fact, it's an alkali metal, so it does not need it. Okay. This thing, Okay. There's titanium. That's what you're going to ask me to do? Yeah. Okay, that's rubidium oxide. All right.
On that one, since it's like, there's like, that one. If I wrote titanium hydrogen carbonate, would that still be right?
Yes. So this can be named two different ways. This has two different possible synonyms. They're both correct. You may use bicarbonate if you wish, or you may use hydrogen carbonate. They are both correct. Use either one. They're both fine. Both are correct. Neither one's wrong. You do not have to use both of them, though. So pick one that you're comfortable with and kind of stick with it. So again, and on the test, I will use both of them so you can kind of choose which one you go. So don't worry about which one you pick. So this has got to be titanium. And this thing is hydrogen. I'm just going to abbreviate carbonate. Or you can call it bicarbonate. They're both correct. They're both fine. Either one, you do not need to use both. Does titanium need Roman numerals? Titanium's in the middle right there, number 22. Again, remember on the test, if you get stuck, you can't find an element, just ask me where it is, and I can tell you its atomic number so you can go find it. All right. So the charge on this is actually, I made a mistake on this formula. This doesn't work. So somebody can tell me what the mistake could possibly be. But I made a mistake on this formula when I originally typed it. What's the charge on bicarbonate? It's -1. There's no way for this 2 to be here. There's no way for that 2 to be there. So if you get stuck on that, I apologize. Let's do that. I know. I made a mistake. I'm human. I do breathe. So what's our charge on our titanium? If team bicarbonate here, that whole group is a 1-, what does our titanium here have to be? It has to be 1+. By the way, with that 2 there, the charge on titanium would have to be 1/2. And that doesn't work. That doesn't work. You're sitting there going, what the hell, Bedwell? What have you done? Okay, so this would be a 1+. Again, this is a 1-. That's a 1+. It balances out. They add up to 0. +1, -1, cancel each other out. By the way, what would this one be? I just changed the formula. This is what it should have been. This is what I meant to write the first time, but I just typed it wrong. Okay. Team bicarbonate is a 1-. There's 2 of them. So what's the negative charge? -2, right? So what does our titanium here have to be to balance that out? 2- on this side, 2+ on the other side. So that would be titanium 2, if I did it that way. So again, there's a mistake in that formula. My apologies. You will live. This one's definitely one of the weirder looking ones on the whole page. Super strange looking. Okay, this is the only case where that first thing, like, what in the hell is that? It's a hard one to recognize. I don't put it a bunch in the test, but it will show up once or twice when you see nitrogen as the first thing. You kind of got to go, well, is that nitrogen with hydrogen or is that nitrogen and something else weird? But this thing right here is called ammonium. A-M-M-O-N-I-U-M. I do want to point this out. This is the word you're familiar with, and that's the spelling of the word that you're familiar with. They're slightly different. You guys are familiar with ammonia. That's what's in cleaning products. Glass cleaners with ammonia. Ammonium is very similar to it, so just be careful with your spelling on it. Ammonia is this. Ammonium is that. Just a different hydrogen to it. So in case you're familiar, like, God, that sounds kind of familiar, that's where it's coming from. All right, so ammonium. What's the second thing? That. What? It's carbon, right? But it's by itself. So if you've got the second thing by itself, how do you change the ending? You change it to IDE. So the technical name is carbide, IDE. It's not carbonate. If you wrote it this way, carbonide, I'm not going to mark it wrong. You got the idea. Okay, I'm not going to get super specific about like when do you kind of like put the extra little syllable. You don't have a lot of experience yet, so like you don't always know. I'm looking to see that you put the correct ending on here. So carbide is technically correct. If you put carbonide down there, good enough, man. You're on the right planet of what we're trying to do. Okay, its technical name is carbide, and this makes sense. The charge of carbide, if it's negative, what's the charge of carbon? Look again. If carbon is negative, 4 minus. That's why the 4 is down here, because this is a 1 plus. That's why that's there. All right. And then the last thing, a little bit more straightforward. This is a really hard one. That was like crazy hard. Okay, that last dude right there. Zn is zinc, Z-I-N-C. That's where German guys wash their dishes. In the zinc. That's right. Okay, so anyway. No? Nothing? All right. And then this little guy back here, SO3. It's sulf something. Sulfate, sulfite, or sulfide? ITE. Do we need Roman numerals in here for zinc? We don't need them. So if you put them in there, that's fine. Again, I won't mark it wrong on this particular test, but zinc does not need it. Aluminum, zinc, silver, we know what their charges are. All right, how are we doing? Painful. Lahaina better? A little bit? Starting to click a little bit? So that's okay. You're doing fine. Okay. Here's the other half of the test. Different skill. Here's the other half of the test. Different skill. And we got to save ourselves a few minutes to do the molecular stuff, the last ones. If you guys are getting bored, like you're fast and you're getting done with the stuff ahead of everybody else, yeah, feel free to work on that packet a little bit. You can work on whatever you need to do to get some of that stuff done. Okay. Some people like this side better. Some people like the other side better. It's funny. People have different, some people are like right-handed or left-handed. Write the formula for the first one. Symbol charge, cross them down. That's our cheer that we do in chemistry. Symbol charge, cross them down. Even if it's polyatomic, it's still the same idea. Symbol charge, cross them down. Quit copying. Figure out how to do them on your own.
Okay.
You're not doing yourself any good. That's how you fail the test. Yep. I don't particularly care. I'll give you the points for them, but that you're going to literally crash and burn on that test badly. Okay. The nice thing about this one's the Roman numerals are given to you. Yay. You just got to remember what everything is. Yeah, we've only got about 20 minutes left in class today, so we don't want to spend too much time on this. Put yourself on the spot, make yourself uncomfortable. Try to do the best you can. Check with a friend after you've tried. How are we doing? You doing these? Doing those. There's some more. What? How are you? We'll switch classes. We can trade. How bad yours are? I like these glasses though.
Okay.
Yeah, I told you I win. I like them. Really? Kind of fun. Right? Where'd you get them? I like those. I'm gonna steal them every day. I won't be able to see anything. What? Carson, damn it. No.
Like the charges.
Oh, sure. That's super easy.
I didn't really understand.
Okay, it's literally just a numeric pattern. +1, +2, +3, plus or minus 4. So you're cutting up to 4, and then you count back down. -3, -2, -1, and then these are 0. They don't do chemistry.
1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that's it. Plus and then minus. Yeah, it's a super easy pattern.
So it would be
And the carbon's going to be plus or minus. Okay.
Yeah.
How you doing with this stuff?
Kind of hard.
It is hard. I know it is.
Kind of get into it.
You just got to kind of just beat your way through it,
Yeah.
And make sure that on the test, even if you get to ones that are hard, you just give me what you can. Give me a little bit of something. So, yeah, you try. That makes sense. Don't panic. Okay, go to the bathroom. What?
So how do you balance these?
What's the charge of silver? Symbol charge, cross them down. Silver's right here. That's one of our little friends.
Oh, yeah. So it's 3.
This is, yep. So that's a 1, right? And then
So then it's
cross them down. There you go. Up. Focus. Be focused and be working on what you're supposed to be working on right now so I can help you out. No. That is correct.
Okay, so I was looking when you give us ammonium.
Zinc, ammonium carbide. Oh, ammonium?
Well, isn't sulfur?
You're mixing and matching 2 different things here. Are you doing that one? Ammonium sulfate, or are you doing this
Ammonium
one?
sulfate.
Okay, got it.
Is that right? Because isn't that 2?
What's the charge of ammonium?
It's 4.
Ammonium is a polyatomic. It's one of those ones that's in your cards. Ammonium's a 1+, and charge is a 2-. So
what do we do if it doesn't give us the charge?
you know it. If you
Oh wait, yes you do. It's the 3.
if it doesn't give it to you, you know it. Bedwell. Hey, what's up? Hey. No, it's all good. Yeah. Got it. Oh, okay. Do you want me to just pass that message along? Gotcha. Got it. Do you want to have her on the phone, or are you good? Okay. Got it. Yep. Sure thing. Bye. Okay.
CR.
Yeah.
CRO.
Dad's bringing your headache meds right after class. He's going to pull up to that parking lot right back there. Okay? There you go. Passing the message. How we doing? Okay. Is this better or worse than the other side?
I know I just don't know if
And that's okay. And that's a really normal response. What you want to make sure is that you're at least kind of plowing through it a little bit to give me something. If you leave it blank, there's nothing I can do. Ammonium and sulfate, yep. And barium and cyanide, aluminum carbonate. You're on the right track. You've missed the last part. Symbol charge, cross them down. You have to balance the charges. You're super close. Yeah. So barium's what charge, cyanide's what charge. Cross them down to make them go. You're really, really close. How are you feeling? Feeling comfortable? This one's carbide as opposed to carbonate. Nitride's correct. Chromate. Balance your charges. Silver's. You know what the charge of silver is. You're super close. Super close. Yeah, I know. It's hard. It's hard. That's why you got to kind of put yourself in the spot. Don't freak out about it. This is a learning experience.
Okay.
You want to look for those ahas. Aha! Ah! No, aha. Not ah.
Is that still recording?
Yeah.
Oh crap. Okay.
It's okay.
It's just going.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so you don't know where I am.
I don't either. I know what you did. Oh, there you go. Okay.
It's
Copper 2.
nitride. That's just nitrogen.
Correct.
Which is a 3. So what would the number be for this one?
So write your CU, then write your other. So do symbol charge, right? Copper 2+. Then write your next symbol in your next charge. So just N. And it's a 3-, right? Yeah. Symbol charge, cross them down.
So
remember, they have to balance out to add up to 0. And 2 and 3 definitely do not balance, right? So this is that crossing down little shortcut. Gives you a little hint as to how you might write your final formula. That means I probably need 2 nitrogens and 3 coppers.
This is like the same thing. I wasn't sure if that was right.
Which one? Ag2, CrO4. Yeah, it's perfect. Because the chromate's a 2 minus, silver's a 1 plus. That is correct. Not in here, that's disgusting. God, you're ew! Ew! So nasty. What's wrong with you, Rhiannon? Oh, she just beat you, man. Sly. I saw that. Nice there. She's like, All right. Wesley, have you done anything? Wow. This test is going to take you like a year and a half.
I'm going to fail.
You know that for a fact?
Yes.
So why?
Because I haven't studied.
Yeah, you haven't even started yet?
I started a little bit.
Remedy that.
By cramming it in at the last second.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Challenge.
But what I'm really what I'm worried about, not disturbed about, is that you're not using your time right now. Because you could be doing stuff right now to help you learn, and you're not. You got to be really smart about how you waste your time. This is not the best time to waste. You could be using this to actually be cramming, supposed to save it off for later. Does that make sense? Yeah, you can be a total slacker, man, and it's fine. But you got to know when to slack and not do something, and when to slack and be like double duty, because you could be doing double duty right now. Ivan, don't even start with this kid. Goat, you're a total goat. Yeah, you never. Great grade in the last. So you're learning stuff. Wesley, he's 2 for 2 right now. Jane, how you doing?
Not very good.
I get that.
I don't understand the difference between nitrite, nitrate, and nitrite.
Oh, okay, cool. Give me a pencil. So when we see this ending versus this ending and this ending, right? This means it's by itself. So 3 minus. That means it's the element and only the element. These two mean they're with oxygen. So this is going to be NO3, because remember nitrogen's on that outside set. This is going to be one less, NO2. ATE and ITE means there's oxygens present. This is the more common form, and this is the less common form minus an oxygen. Does that help?
Yeah.
Great question. And check your charges. This is a 2 plus, and that's a 3 minus. Charge, symbol charge, cross them down.
Do I draw it up here?
Yeah, for right now, just do like a rough draft. So it's Cu2 plus, and N, what's the charge of nitrogen by itself?
3.
Yep, 3 minus. Now cross them down so that you can get the right subscript number. So like we have H2O, right? It's because hydrogen's a 1 plus and oxygen's a 2 minus. So we take that 2 from the oxygen and give it to the hydrogen. 2 hydrogens balance out 1 oxygen. Nope, I talked too fast. H2O, right? You know that formula.
Yeah.
Hydrogen's a 1 plus and oxygen's a 2 minus. So they don't add up to 0 right here. I've got to have 2 hydrogens to balance out this 1 oxygen.
Yeah.
That's where that 2 comes from.
Oh.
But a shortcut to get there is by doing this crossing down thing, because that whatever that number is oftentimes ends up as a subscript number. So the same thing is true here. This 3 ends up down here, that 2 ends up down there, and then they kind of magically balance each other out. Yeah. Yep. You ask really good questions.
Any of these like right?
No.
Well, that's good. For these.
These to these?
Yes.
This is sodium and sodium.
But nitrate, I thought was any. No.
Not Na3. Nobelium. There you go. It's actually more communicating. It's definitely bizarre. Think of it. There's less things you'd have to memorize. So NaNO3, 1 plus, 1 minus, balanced out. Good. CaNO, 2 plus, 2 minus. That's calcium oxide. This is not chromate. It's close. That's chromium. Chromate's a polyatomic. ATE. It's a polyatomic. It's got oxygen with. It's got oxygen with it. ATE means it's a polyatomic. It's one of your note cards.
So what would it be? Chromate is CR not right?
It's right. You're not CRO something, not dichromate. Chromate. CR. Yeah. Yeah, you were super close.
Is it a capital?
Oxygen, capital O. There you go. Balance your charges, right? Copper 2 and nitride. Those are the right symbols. You just got to balance your charges.
Oh, so.
Copper's a 2 plus, nitrogen's a 3 minus.
Oh.
This is
So
correct, but you got to balance charges. Oh, there's a C in there. CH3COO.
One of those? Oh, C.
There's another carbon. Yeah, Chiku. Not Chu. All right, I have about 5 minutes left. We have to do it. Plus 1 minus. Make sure this is an actual capital A, not a big lowercase a. And balance your charges.
Wait, so then I
All right. I'm going to buzz through these quickly, and we need to finish our last part. This is hard. I know this is one of those things where all of a sudden, if you haven't been doing the homework and you haven't been doing the notebook and you haven't watched the lesson videos online, all of a sudden it kind of slaps you in the face like, oh shit, I thought I would know. Yeah. So I'll remind you. Yeah, focus. I will remind you on Google Classroom that these lesson videos are here. They help a lot. Guys, time to focus. Bring it back. There we go. Bring it back. I'll remind you that these are here. When you're home tonight and you're getting frustrated with trying to do this, rewatch some of these, the pieces and parts that you need, because they will lead you through the steps. Again, I don't have a specific D because it's kind of overlapped with everything, but they're there. It's like having me back right there with you. Like that's the last thing you want. But they do actually help, I promise. That is their purpose. I'm going to go through and do these after I do the last part. Okay, so I'm going to go back and do this if we have time, but I want to make sure that we do 4B. So flip your notebooks back to 4B. I'll come back and do these in just a second. So I'm just going to add a page right here. Yeah, 4B is really easy. Okay, the thing that makes these different is that they don't have metals in them. That's how you know whether you're doing this style. That's how you can tell that you're doing this type of compound. They're called molecular compounds. They do not conduct electricity when they are in solution. The ionic lab that we had last chapter. That's why they're called molecular. And these kind of compounds only contain nonmetals and metalloids. So from the last chapter, we did sugar. We dissolved sugar in water. There's a couple of different ones. Biology class, maybe recognize that as a sugar. Glucose, right? In this case, hydrogen is a little sneaky, but it's acting like a nonmetal. Non-metal. Glucose. This is one of those examples of a molecular compound. Okay, that's what we're referring to. The ones we're going to do for this chapter are way easier, but they are going to have some different non-molecular stuff or non-metal stuff that's present. Here's the most common example of a molecular compound that you know. And you can probably even tell me what the name of this is because it's commonly known. Yeah, carbon dioxide. Carbon's a nonmetal. Oxygen's a nonmetal. Notice how we don't call it carbon oxide. How do we call it? Carbon dioxide, right? Because there's 2 oxygens there. These are super easy because the names tell you the formulas exactly. You don't know thinking required, which is why I teach you this last after you've done all the hard thinking. Because this you can do this when you're Dane Bramage. Yep, Dane Bramage. Dane Bramage, yes. When you don't wear your helmet and your shoulder pads, you get Dane Bramage. Your helmet and your shoulder pads, yes. This one is also containing carbon and oxygen only. And we could call that one legit carbon dioxide too, but we don't. What's the other extra dangerous version of this carbon? This is a killer. Carbon monoxide. What does mono mean? Yeah, carbon monoxide. So you can kind of start to see what we do here in these kinds of compounds. We use these little prefixes like these to tell you the number of atoms that are present. Now, these little prefixes can go in the first word or the second word. So I'll show you some crazier examples that you won't recognize because a lot of these are not common. But I'll show you some other examples. We use numeric prefixes, and they're the ones that you know, to indicate how many of each atom is present. No balancing charges required, no memorizing required. Literally, just name it literally the way it is. Either read it and write the numbers out. So here's an example of one, N2O5. So actually a very common one in chemistry, but it's got kind of a funky name to it. So we know it's nitrogen and oxygen, right? How many nitrogens are there? 2. So it's actually called dinitrogen. Just like in dichromate, there's 2 chromiums in there. So dinitrogen. And then how many oxygens are there? 5. So geometry class. No, not Spanish class. Geometry class. Nice try. Latin. That's cinco. Penta, like a pentagram, right? P-E-N-T. And again, we still change our ending to IDE. IDE means there's 2 elements present. So they're still binary. So dinitrogen pentoxide. Definitely is kind of a weird looking thing, isn't it? Dinitrogen pentoxide. Da, da, da. She did. I'll let you try. Okay, be careful. No hypo. Okay. There's no hypo in this. Triphosphorus. Ah, it's in Jurassic Park. Yeah, it's really dangerous. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, focus. There's an important lesson to be learned here. Notice this is not triphosphate or something along those lines. It is triphosphorus. We name that first element all the way. We only change the name of the second element. So 7 is a weird one. It's hept or sept, and it's usually hept in this particular case. H-E-P-T. Yeah, heptoxide. No, it's a little bit weird. But you know all the other ones. So what's 1? Not uno, not Spanish class. Mono. That's why the game is called Uno, because you call it out when you have 1 card left. Okay, stop. Do not pack. Give me a second. I know we're almost done. What's 2? Okay. 3 is pretty easy. 4 is a tricky one, so stop and listen for a second. It is not quad. Okay. It is just like the computer game that always has 4 little squares. Yeah. That's why it's called Tetris. Oh, tri is equal tetra. 4 equals tetra. 5 is penta. 6 is hexa, just like you know from, again, math class. 7 is hepta. It's weird. 8 is octa. And then 9, I don't think you'll have it on the test, but it's nona, N-O-N-A. So, I don't know, right? In math class, you might even remember that from somewhere. So, yeah, there we go. We're out of here.